line graph with filters is the basic graph that you will use in Level. If you do not wish to use anything that involves in-depth analysis, but merely wish to look quickly at your data and see how you're doing, or if you're already in very good control and wish to simply make checks that you're staying in good control, then this graph will tell you what you need to know to answer those questions. This is the starting screen for this graph, and it will handle as much as a year's worth of data at one time on the graph. And these are the features of the graph. The green bar is your target zone, which you set on another menu selection. The days of the month are listed at the bottom as these numbers. After you make your entries by a date selection, then the number of entries in that date selection will be shown, as well as the average of those entries, as well as how tight a group they form, whether they have a lot of deviation or a small amount of deviation. Of course, what you really want optimally is to have all of your entries within the green target zone with a very small amount of deviation. But if some of them are high, then the percent of your readings that are above the target zone will be shown, as well as the percent of your readings that are below the target zone. As you keep track of your diabetes data, you will also be visiting your physician. And when you visit your physician with another menu selection in Level, you will record what transpired during that visit. That data will be stored, and it will be accessible to you as a dot on this timeline called the medical dots, and by clicking on it, that entry will pop up as a message box. Thus you can see what happened before and what happened after you made that visit to your physician, where perhaps he changed the amount of medication. To get a look at what this graph looks like, let's use some of the sample data that ships with Level, which is contained in the year 1992. So we will leave the month on January, the day on 26, and change the year to 1992. And let's have 1 month of data from January 26 to February 26, also in 1992. And when we click, whenever we make a change to any of these selection parameters, we ask Level to redraw the graph for us. And here we have our 30 days worth of data. Each data is present on the graph as a dot. If we click on the dot, then we will see all of the information that we recorded along with that reading. I'll read it for us. The reading was recorded at 5:30 a.m. Tuesday, February 24th, 1992. The blood glucose reading was 328, and some of the events that you clicked on as happening at the same time as this reading were that it was fasting, before breakfast, before dinner, after dinner, during night, before exercise, during exercise, and as you see, this is very clearly some test data that was put up just to check that all of these are working. What is also present is some numeric data that you were enabled to enter at the same time as you made the VGL entry. For example, you inserted 3.89 units of 70/30 insulin, some other insulin as well. Your body temperature was 100. Your VP, the upper reading diastolic, the lower reading was 51.4. On a scale of 1 to 6, 1 to 10 being 6, you entered at 0.5. You had just finished 102 grams of protein, and you had just taken 7.04 milligrams of metformin. Some of this data is inconsistent because it was test data, but yours will be the actual numerical entries that you made along with the VGL reading. Let's cut it down to a week's worth of data so that we can see it with a little bit more clarity. Let's go to January, well, I think we'll have to go to January, say January 13th to January 26th. And we have a week's worth of data, or 2 weeks worth of data. And we have a bit more clarity as we take the time scale down a little bit. This is the rudimentary settings that you will have for the line graph with filters. There are more advanced settings if you want to. For example, if you only want to look at your morning readings, then you will set the time range filter from 12 a.m. midnight to 11:59 also a.m., which will just give you your morning readings. And then withdraw, then all the readings that are present. If you click on any one of them, you will see that they have a morning time, because now you've filtered out the morning times. In addition, you can filter just some certain days of the week. For example, let's just look at Sunday and Saturday. See how you're doing on weekends in this range. So a redraw, and this is your data for the weekends. Or if we only want to look at Mondays, which might be a bad day for you, then you can just look at Mondays, and there was only 1 or 2 drawings. So let's put all the days of the week back. And what you can also filter on is you can decide just to look at some of your blood glucose readings within a certain range. For example, right now, the range that you're looking at are any blood glucose readings between 0 and 500. If we scale this, drag this up, we can set it, say to 106, 300, 245, and we can come down to 444. So now we will restrict ourselves to those very high readings. And now their very high readings are present and nothing else. Alternatively, you might want to look at just your good readings. So bring this down to, say, 87. Okay, bring it down a little bit more. Looking below it, we'll move it down by 10s. Okay, there's a nice 107. And bring this down to, say, 149. So those are what you want to see. Then these show you just the readings within that range of blood glucose readings. And as you see, the graph automatically scales up so that you have the maximum amount of clarity for the data that's to be presented on the graph. Another option that you can have, first let's just reset this to maximum, is that you can look at your blood glucose readings that only included certain events or numerics that you get to select. And if you want to select some of those, then include only the ones that you're selecting. And these are the 32 possibilities. These events are of your own choosing. You can name them to be whatever you want. And the range for the numerics that you would like to look at are also of your own choosing. It will take you maybe a few hours to learn how to set those entries to suit yourselves. But this one, next one, is quite self-explanatory. The readings that pass the filters that you now set, you might only want to look at your daily highs. So now let's include all the events and numerics, but let's look at the high reading for each day. So when we reset and redraw, then what we have is the daily high readings. Alternatively, we could have looked at our daily low readings and nothing else except the lowest reading for each day. So this is now the lowest reading for each day. So you can do all of these mixing and matchings, time range filters, date range filters, days of the week, high readings, low readings, and also restricting it to certain filtered events or certain filtered numeric values as well. And you can mix those in any combination that you care to, and the more time that you spend with this particular graph on level, the more combinations that you will come to try until you find the ones that are your own favorites. What you can do also is to print this graph at any time that you want to. And when you print this graph, we won't print it at the moment, but you can print it any time that you care to for a hard copy. Also, you can export this particular data set into a ordinary text file that can be accepted by Excel in case you want to do some advanced statistical analysis on it yourself. There is also a help screen that leads you through very much what we've been describing here. And you can also print the help file for more slow reading as you care to. So this is a once-over slightly of all the many different combinations of the features that you can invoke on this very elementary graph that comes with level, the line graph with filters.